How's it going, guys? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the very first YouTube video on this channel. We've done some shorts, some really quick strategy videos in the shorts, but this is the first full-length YouTube video we've made. And I want to really quickly just go through who I am, my story, why I'm making videos, and just thank you guys for being here first and foremost. But my story, I got into trading about 4 or 5 months ago, and I started paper trading. I knew nothing about trading. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, binged watched anything and everything I could find, and finally sort of started to get a little bit of a strategy together, started paper trading with that, and had some very quick success. I started making $10,000, $15,000 a day paper trading. Yes, I was leveraging unrealistically for what you would do with a prop firm account, but I was seeing a lot of success, and I was actually hitting trades, and I felt confident very quickly, which is a bad thing in retrospect. And what happened was I started buying evals. I bought my first Top Step 100K eval and passed in 2 days in the bare minimum. And I was like, sick. This is actually, I thought this would be harder. I thought paper trading, or like just in some way, shape, or form, is going to be more difficult. And I got to these, and I passed the eval with flying colors super quickly and easily, got to my first funded account, and blew that immediately, like within 30 minutes. I just clearly was too early to start doing this, but I kind of got that itch, and once I had it, I couldn't stop. So I blew that first eval, bought another one that same night, blew that second eval. Next day, I was like, you know what? I can do this, but if I get the payouts, it can be more if I stack accounts. So I bought 3 accounts, 3 Top Step 100K evals, blew them, reset them, blew them again. And it just started this process, this revolving cycle of me thinking about the end result of payouts way before I'd even gotten my first payout or even gotten my first funded a few days of profitable trading. So we kind of started that cycle, and it just continued. I got up to doing 5 100K Top Step accounts and blew them repeatedly and just kept resetting. I was just such a dumbass. Thinking back at this, it hurts me to think about. But I'm sure many of you could relate if you were in that same thought process, and it's easy to fall into. So long story short, I spent 2 or 3 months just resetting and blowing evals constantly. I built up like $10,000 of debt that I just racked up from throwing these evals on credit cards. And eventually it got to the point where I kind of had this realization, like, this is not sustainable, for one. And two, the only reason I'm blowing these evals, it is not the market. It is not just little tiny mistakes that I'm going to be able to fix. It was that I don't have a solid strategy. I don't have something that I have ironed down that is set in stone, that I know when I hit the charts, it's going to be profitable. I have a certain win rate, a certain risk reward ratio, and that ends up making me profitable. I didn't have that. I was bouncing around from different strategies, trying different things, and the end result was just a pile of debt and no profitability, and honestly, really discouraged. But I will say, I work for myself. I've always been very entrepreneurial, very willing to take risks, and I'm willing to bet on myself, willing to bet on this trading thing that I can figure this out. So that's why I'm here today, because after that, I took a step back and I said, I need to dive in head on and practice with paper trading, with backtesting, just do so much, gather so much data, so much experience going through the charts, playing out trades on paper, simulated trades, to when I do go back eventually to evals and trying to trade with real money, that we have a much different result, and I'm profitable, and I'm able to actually churn payouts and make this thing actually start to go somewhere. So that's what I've been doing for the last now 3 months or so, is just grinding on the charts, grinding on the back testing. I have so many Excel files now that I've accumulated with different strategies I've been back testing to see what is the win rate of this, what is the optimal stop loss and take profit placement on this strategy, how frequently does this strategy occur, which strategies are better than others. And honestly, the answer to that's probably there is no bad strategy. There are some strategies that might be a little bit more profitable than others, but generally speaking, what I've found is you're going to have to balance 3 things. You have to balance the frequency that a trade appears. Some of them have really high win rates, but they don't appear very often at all. So the frequency that it appears, the win rate, of course, how many times that when a trade does present itself, Does it win? Does it hit? And then the risk reward ratio. Some of these trades, if you have a 1-to-8 risk reward ratio, like that is a crazy profitability metric you're shooting for, but does it have a high win rate? Like, can you 8 times out of 10 hit that trade successfully? Maybe not. But the lower the risk reward ratio, yes, you're receiving less reward, but they probably have a higher win rate. So there's a balance there of like a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 might hit really often, but you're not getting as much reward when they do hit as like a 1-to-6, 1-to-8 risk reward ratio. So you have to balance those three: the risk reward ratio, the win rate, and the frequency that the trade actually appears on the charts. And honestly, when you factor in all those things, a lot of these strategies end up kind of becoming a lot more similar than people might think. That's one of the interesting things that I've come across as I've been backtesting all these different strategies. But long story short, we've been backtesting for a while. We're finally starting to get somewhere, starting to figure some things out. And I want to start this channel to document my journey, my trades, some strategies that I'm testing, pros and cons of different things. And I'm just going to share videos with you guys as we do this and kind of walk you through this process. If you want to subscribe to follow along with me, that would be greatly appreciated. See you guys in the next video.